let's talk about the Stu Peters Israel Jewish thing. Because Alex and I have already done well, I think, to carve out the right, the most proper position as American citizens, America firsters, MAGAs. We know our three issues. Our three issues are the debt, the border, the forever wars. You can get us tied up in culture all you want to, and the culture war is a real thing, and there are culture wars, and there are religious wars, and there are different ideologies. But
Get it right or don't be around.
these three things are what will allow your political and financial
to have a
elites
future, to have a future.
to cover and Trojan horse their way into these other culture wars. They lay the groundwork, right? And we saw that with the budget, the military budget, right? They smuggled in transgender surgeries that you have to pay for now for servicemen and women. Now the government's going to pay for you to have
And our Republican Congress was all good with it.
And the Republican House was all good with
all
it, weren't
good.
they? Yeah.
All good.
And a lot of them drink from the same teat.
$883 billion.
But is it by accident? I mean, how can we, when are we going to grow the fuck up as the conservative movement? When are we going to grow the fuck up? Let me backtrack. The highest organizing principle for Christians is faith. It's Christ. The highest organizing principle for American citizens is American citizenship. It's very simple. Not hard, not difficult, not nuanced, not complex. However, if we're going to talk about the Jewish lobby, what you and I talked about on day one, you do see a couple of issues, a couple of recurring kind of sentiments that pop up where the Jewish lobby, so to speak, has a lot of power and influence. And on the left, it's what we've talked about. It's coming out of WEF. It's coming. But the right is where we seem to pretend like that influence isn't real. It hasn't really took root yet. We don't really see the Xavier DeRussos as a product of the same sort of uniparty theater around an issue like Israel as we see McConnell and Biden as two sides of the same coin. And so I understand the criticism of the Jewish lobby and things like an issue like Israel, because you start to see where people tilt the same way no matter what they say they're really about, right? And they even do it with the same fucking tone. And not only the tone of their voice, but the construction of their sentences, right? I stand with Israel. I didn't need to fucking say I stand with Israel. I mean, everybody has the right to defend themselves. That goes without saying. People fight wars, and those who win wars, they often win the spoils of wars. That goes without saying. If you say death to Israel and you really mean death to America by any stretch of the imagination, then we got a problem. Exactly like I said with Alex. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go out and make some public statement that sounds like you're not a former BLM activist. You're a current BLM activist. I mean, people forget that, remember, the criticism of Kanye West came from the left, right? The woke left went after Kanye West. Now, there were those on the right, too, who are all pro-Israel and, that cohort. But a good majority of it came from the left.
The criticism of his alleged anti-Semitism.
Yes, absolutely.
Which, by the way, today he reversed. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he just came out today with a tweet in Hebrew. I read it on Stu Peters' feed. The plot thickens. Gets deeper all the time.
What was it?
He was apologizing. Well, I haven't delved into it, but I think he was apologizing for certain positions he'd taken in the past.
Oh, great. Way to go, Kanye.
So we can't even tell who the hell these people are anymore.
Which I said originally. I said, who is Kanye West? I remember that clip go viral. Who is Kanye West? Who is Kim Kardashian? Who is Milo? Who is Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, who are these people? Who's Stu Peters?
Who's Stu Peters?
Who are these people?
Who are these people? And what's why is their conversation so disanchored from just reason. And part of me feels bad. Part of me understands that the society we live in is like for example, you and I. There is a way we could go about podcasting that would surely generate more interest a lot quicker. We could be salacious, we could be theatrical, we could name drop, we could try and incite, and I don't say incite like violently, but we could try and invoke certain cultural, emotional divisions in order to draw audiences from one side or the other. We don't really do that. But these people may have the thought process that they need to take these extreme positions in order to generate the type of momentum of being relevant in the media content space. Surely it benefits Kanye, and I think Kanye even carries a kind of smirk about doing it, about playing people. I mean, he had a viral clip where he said effectively that he made Adidas drop him, or there was some business deal that had taken place, and there was some outcome of a business deal that was favorable for him because of the stuff that he said publicly. So I understand that we live in a world where it's hard to break through the the huge wall of content and the short attention span. But what about sacred honor? I mean, it's like I told Jason about him and his audience. If your audience is your life, if your audience is your wife, which is as blasphemous as you could possibly imagine, but I mean casually, I understand what he was saying. But if your audience is your wife, and you cater to whatever your audience wants, whatever you think your audience wants, then your bitch is running your life.
Sounds like democracy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Just because we vote for it does not mean
it's a good thing.
Right. In fact, we're voting for a lot of things that are actually counter to our well-being because we're buying whatever bill of goods that comes up. My problem with Stu Peters in all of the dialogue around Jewishness and Judaism and Zionism and Israel, I don't shy away from the argument or the ideas. What I don't like about Stu Peters is he has nothing else to say. I mean, if he wants to comment about Zionism or Judaism or the Khazarians, hither, there, and yon, sprinkle it in with some other original thinking.
Right.
Because people have hated Jews since Christ made corporal. There's nothing new about this. And what we need in the country, particularly on this woke right side, is the coming together of a community that's not disaggregated, that's not divided. We need people that come together around the concept of American citizenship.
Yes.
And anything that detracts from that is not helping. And I like your critique. It never occurred to me that people do this just as clickbait, just to get an audience.
Yeah.
And that never occurred to me. That is, when you put it within the context of sacred honor, that explains a lot to me. And I hope it explains a lot to your listeners, because I couldn't understand every fucking tweet is about how bad the Zionists and the Jews are. I mean, yes, we'll take the criticism. There's a lot of just criticism, but can we mix in some other ideas, like about Hootie and the Blowfish? I mean, let's put some other ideas in here.
Yeah.
And that's what has really made me very unhappy with. And I follow Stu Peters and I follow Nick Fuentes, and that's just what we would call one-trick ponies. And here at Free People, we're trying to investigate and explore the widest possible range of ideas. Maybe it's too ambitious. Maybe our audience is having a hard time organizing some of these ideas. But then I say to myself, I'm having a hard time organizing these ideas. Why do you get off if I don't? Because this stuff is complicated and it requires research and study. And I always say to my audience, and I'm going to say it right here to our audience, we got to figure this out on our own. Right. Even though we're, and I just want to tell everybody, you and I are just having a nice conversation. We haven't talked for a few days, been the holidays.
Yeah.
And everybody's just getting to watch us talk the way we always talk.
This is the way we always talk, Hebrew style.
Because we're interested in making progress with these ideas.
Yeah.
Because I personally believe my ass depends on making progress with these ideas. That if I don't figure this out If I don't have an action plan, I'm really risking, and even more than my children, fighting for my children's lives. But I'm very upset with but I'm not anymore. You've given me a very plausible explanation. These people are just trying to make money. Maybe all anti-Semitism was about that.
Well, and Alex made a very important point as well, that a lot of these people are actually feds. And they'll say that you're fed, that you and I are feds, or that we're working for Israel or the Zionists. It's like, I mean, I've been called everything. I'm a BLM plant. Jason Whitlock said I'm a BLM plant after being on the show for 2 years straight and part of the brain
Yeah,
trust at the highest level.
yeah, that was
Neither
tacky.
here nor there,
Tacky.
goofy. It's just dishonest and goofy. But I've been called a darling of the far right. I've been called a Zionist shill, and then I've been called
Anti-Semitic.
yes,
By-
not only that, but a Muslim.
Remember how we met? Was somebody was calling you anti-Semitic, and I just had to find out for myself. Of course, we've mentioned his name many times.
Yeah, Matt Brodsky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, Royce White's in the race now, but we don't have to worry because he's an anti-Semite. He is? Geez, I've been watching him on War Room.
But isn't it weird that he would say we don't have to worry because he's an anti-Semite? It's almost like he pre-assumed that anti-Semitism couldn't actually be a real physical threat to his person, his body, like a real threat to Jews in general. It was more assumed that it was a
disqualifier,
a disqualifying, a political hindrance, which is a huge issue with how the Jewish lobby has levied the Jewish identity in these political matters.
This is called the revenge of the nerds, right? Because it's not that long ago, 78 years ago, they were burning Jews in Germany, and being anti-Semitic was a winning political formula. So I think there's a great effort being made to make it into a winning political formula again. What are Jewish people going to do about this?
Yeah.
What are Jewish people going to do about it? And I'm going to tell all the Jewish people, there is a 100% guaranteed solution to this problem. It's called faith. That's it. If people are going about their lives seeking faith in God, the rest of it's going to take care of itself. And there are people going to say, "Oh, that's rather esoteric." Well, hey, we're getting down to the where we went wrong as a Darwinist group of our society's been penetrated. But you said if it's European, we shouldn't have anything to do with it. And this is the European political philosophy foisted on all of us here in the United States. It's, I was thinking about this. Why did this scientific thing become so powerful? It's very difficult for people to really believe. I mean, traditionally, it really requires a lot of us to have faith. So when you say you'd rather die in some kind of a holy way or some kind of effort that would be worthwhile in your own mind, from your own perspective.
Yeah, if I could choose.
If I could choose too. Well, why couldn't we all make that choice? I'm a very big believer that culture is so malleable. We're living in this kind of fixed set of cultural expectations and histories and narratives, and this thing could change in 2024 on a dime. We could be sitting here at this time next year, and the only thing that mattered in America was sacred honor. Right now, today, the only thing that matters is how much cash you're piling up in your bank.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird thing.
Or who you're having sex with, or how you identify, or, what religion or what race you are, or, just a bunch of, and to echo what you're saying, I think I've been as unabashed in my criticism of the Jewish lobby and Jewish influence as anybody. I mean, honestly, to the point where Jason Whitlock had already received certain warning from the higher ups or individuals within the Blaze company about the conversations that he and I would have regarding the Jewish topic.
But let me just say something. I listened to that.
But he actually went harder than I do.
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Which now they're trying to say he went harder than me because I'm actually in on the international Zionist conspiracy, because I'm palling around with you. But what it
You
really
know, wait. I would, I'm just going to tell everybody, my whole life I've been known about this international Zionist conspiracy.
Mhm,
Why do I not have a role
mhm.
in the? Why am I working so hard? Why am I?
You do have a role. You have the no role, the no role.
Nobody ever walked up to me and said, "Would you like to join the international Zionist conspiracy?"
Well, look, you can. There's two schools of thought. Some people would say, "Why even waste time talking about it?" Alex Jones made that point, and I think it's a fair point to make. There are more important things for us to talk about, and whether. And I said this. This is regardless of. Somebody messaged me and said, "Don't say irregardless anymore. It's not a word. Say whatever words the fuck I want to say." First off,
Vehemently.
yeah, vehemently is a great word. It's a
This is
word.
culture.
I
Where
know
did
many words. They're all great words.
where did these words
Okay,
come from?
I'm pulling a
Somebody made
Donald
them
Trump.
up.
Mm.
Somebody
You
made
can,
these words up.
but this tells you how kind of neutered we are as a people intellectually.
Rules.
We don't even think we have the right to make our own words.
Rules.
If people understand what I mean, what does it matter? And if I can explain it, what if I want to start using my own words? That's not the same as using my own pronouns. I mean, we have to, and we can't. I digress. Anyway,
This is creativity that's being
I
stifled.
digress. What I want to say is, I was saying this before, or regardless of talking about the international Zionist conspiracy, I was telling people in the earliest days of the podcast, stop looking for a smoking gun. You don't need a smoking gun to be offended by how our elites are trying to insult your intelligence, bastardize your citizenship, and devalue your existence. You don't need a smoking gun. I don't need to. And part of the smoking gun witch hunt is a way to distract people from taking back their citizenship through self governance, like the precinct strategy. And honestly, if you're out there, just ask yourself how much time you spend down the rabbit hole of making connections of Jewish power bases and influence on American or global politics instead of going in the Republican Party and standing up and saying, listen, if these are Israel influenced policies, to that I say no. How many senators, will stand up and filibuster? That's why I want to get in the Senate.
One.
That's why I want to get in the Senate. I can't wait to get in the Senate. I'll be filibustering every time I get the fucking chance just because we need it. Just because I don't think the other people have the physical stamina and endurance and mental toughness
Courage.
to be able to
Courage.
withstand the trouble that should rightfully come with building a fucking good country. But my point is that we spend too much time on smoking gun. Alex said it great. He put it well. Is why do I care about taking a quota or a head count on which people are in charge of which aspects of this globalist agenda? I mean, why would I even waste my time with that? Because really, we don't know. We have no clue. We don't know how. We don't know if the Chinese, if the CCP is zooming the Israelis, if the American Nazis are zooming the Israelis, if the Israelis are zooming the Europeans, if the British are zooming the American. I mean, all of these people have histories of fighting before.
Hey, to quote your good friend Mr. Bannon,
Yeah,
it's just the way the system works.
it's the way the system works.
Because all these people went to Columbia. They all went to Harvard and Princeton, Yale. They've all been acculturated into a bureaucratic system, which is anti-human, anti-birth, anti-child. It's just anti-everything that's Christian.